Alright, hello again everybody. It's Don Patterson here with the third episode of NB Bassin. I want to thank everybody for their support so far. I've been keeping track of some numbers online, and I'm not going to say that we're breaking any records, but for a total rookie who didn't have a clue what he was doing, a few people are actually taking the time to listen, and I can't say how much I appreciate that. Once again, I want to give credit and thanks to the companies that have helped get me where I am in this industry today. Fish Bum Outfitters, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, and Northern Michigan Outfitters. All of these companies have given me the opportunity to increase my profile, increase my reach, and hopefully I'm being able to do a little bit of the same for them. Excuse me. Once again, folks, I am fighting a little bit of a cold, so if I cough or give a little sniffle, I do apologize. It is just that wonderful February time of year. I've given a lot of thought over the last couple weeks, listening to the feedback from the folks that have taken the time to listen. I want to take a moment to address something that a friend of mine mentioned after listening to episode 1. And then I'm going to move on to our topic for today. A friend of mine mentioned this just the other day, that he listened to episode 1, and when I was discussing the price of bass boats and how it's affecting our sport. And he made a very valid point. I talked about all the negatives. What I didn't talk about are the positives. How it's worth it to get into bass fishing. Tournament bass fishing, specifically from my point of view. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes and just kind of remind everybody, if you have friends who say, oh, it's too expensive, it's not worth it, but then they'll turn around and they'll go buy a four-wheeler, a side-by-side, or a snowmobile. Their cost excuse went out the window. You can get into tournament fishing for a reasonable price. It all comes down to perception, and don't let your own ego get in the way. You do not have to have the biggest, the fastest, the fanciest. At the end of the day, it's as long as you can get in something that floats and you have the ability to keep your fish alive, go give it a try. Because if you've ever set the hook on a bass, you'll understand where the desire to do this comes from. Especially here in New Brunswick, the smallmouth here are so strong. You set the hook on a small one, and you're going to be hooked. You set the hook on a big one, and the description is just, the feeling is just undescribable. I just can't explain it. So yeah, you can go out. My boat, I don't talk a lot publicly about personal finances, but let's just put it this way. My boat, I paid less than $5,000 for. Boat, motor, trailer. Is it spectacular? Is it going to set, am I going to go out and set the world on fire with speed records on the water and, be the first guy to every fishing hole? No, not at all. But it floats, and it gets me on the water. As I said before, excuse me, my partner has a newer boat, a faster boat than mine. But if something ever happened that his broke down last minute, we wouldn't have to skip a tournament because mine's still sitting. So the options are there, folks. There are guys who come out without getting a full-blown bass boat. So come on out, find something that floats, and give it a try. You're not going to regret it. Even if you don't go the tournament route, you're not going to regret setting the hook on a smallmouth bass. So I after speaking with my friend, I had to address his concern that my comments on episode one were a little negative, might actually deter people, and that's the last thing I want to do. So, folks, like I said, there are ways to give it a try without breaking the bank. So, if you have the least bit of interest, and odds are if you're listening to this, it's in the back of your mind somewhere. So if you have the least bit of interest, please find a way to come out and give it a try. So, moving on to today's topic. can be a touchy subject amongst some people. It comes down to terminology is what confuses a lot of people. Pro-staffing, field staffing. What's the difference between that and sponsorships? Even those of us who are pro-staffing or field staffing for various companies, just to take the confusion off, if we're speaking to someone who may not know the difference, we may refer to them as our quote-unquote sponsors, but they're not, in the truest sense of the word, they're not sponsors. Like I said, it's a terminology thing that confuses some people. People seem to hear the term pro-staffing and think that refers to professional. Well, no. Those of us who pro-staff, for the most part, are not professionals. We are a promotional staff, which is why some companies prefer to use the term field staffing, which is the same thing, only different. They've chosen a different term that has a little less confusion attached to it to accomplish the exact same thing. If you want to pro-staff, you want to field staff, it helps raise your profile because it gives you the opportunity to attach your name to a manufacturer of a certain product. You know, in my case, I have 4 companies that I am associated with at this point in time. I listed them at the first of the show, but I'll go through them again. War Dog Lures, the company that I've been with the longest. They're a custom spinnerbait manufacturer out of Louisiana. Actually, for the last little while, even though I've maintained my affiliation with them, War Dog has been in a production hold. Due to, they were a handmade spinner, or and that's how they started out. Production is fairly tricky because they're a fairly intricate little piece of equipment. Anyways, production problems, this, that, and the other thing. But the owner of the company, who, even though I've never met face to face, I'd like to say I've become a friend of, he asked some of us, please stick with me. I'm not giving up on this dream. Well, I've still had some of them in my tackle box to throw. I'm still catching fish with them. So it hasn't hurt me to, stick with them. Southern Yankee Baits, soft plastic manufacturer. I promote them. I live and die by them some days. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that that is the only brand of baits I throw? No, on average, it's not. I wish I could tell you it was. But to be honest with you, and Tommy, the owner of Southern Yankee, he knows this. Sometimes you've got to throw something different. It's just the nature of the beast. But my job, and it is a job, is to promote these manufacturers. They don't pay me. I get I may get a discount on products. I may get a free package here and there, but they are not sponsors. Sponsors pay you or pay your expenses. In this case, I promote them. It's a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation. I promote them. I wear their logos. I help get their name out there. I get a discount on products that I'm going to be using anyway. Next on the list, it's pretty close to say which one's my newest. I had 2 of them come to me, or that everything fell into place within 3 days. Northern Michigan Outfitters, which I just signed with back in January. Excuse me, folks, I apologize. Northern Michigan is an outfitter, a guiding company out of Northern Michigan, obviously. But they are looking to expand their reach and partner with other guides, outfitters, service providers, manufacturers across Canada and the U.S. to spread their reach, and also to create a network of companies that work together to offer a variety of different services. They also have TV shows in the works, web series, that sort of stuff. So I promote them and their partners. with the opportunity to receive discounts from some of their partners. It's a complicated process depending on what it's like company by company. And then the final one that I signed up with this year is Fish Bum Outfitters. I was affiliated with Monster Stalker Clothing last year, which was a subsidiary of Fish Bum, and I got the opportunity to switch to the Fish Bum brand here just about a month ago, and I couldn't be happier with the opportunity. It's clothing that I'd be buying anyway. But no, excuse me again. Now that I've rambled on about who I represent, who I'm affiliated with, if you want to pro staff or field staff, first thing to remember, they're not sponsors. You're not going to get paid. Second thing, but even though you're not getting paid, it is a job. If you go through your social media, which virtually all of us are involved in now, take a look at your social media. Do you have the time to commit to contributing to multiple pages or setting up new pages of your own to promote? I have Facebook accounts, Twitter, Instagram. It's all there, and the primary focus for it most of the time is fishing related posting. I'm also a contributor to multiple pages that are associated with the companies that I field staff for. So if you don't have the time to commit to staffing to spending more time and doing more work online for social media promotion, maybe you want to think twice before you go applying, because I can almost guarantee that in this day and age, that's going to be a requirement. Don't think because you have a name on a shirt or a hat that you are a professional angler. Once again, I'll go back to that terminology. Pro staff stands for promotional staff. It's great to look cool and either have a jersey made or, be wearing hoodies or t-shirts or hats from your companies that you're staffing for. But we're still in this for fun. Every little bit helps. As I've stated before, it's not a cheap sport. So every little bit helps. If you can get a few dollars off a product here and there, it's a little extra gas in the boat, or it's that new reel that you need, or whatever the case may be. So there are benefits to it. So if you find a company that you love their products, or that you have a severe interest in their products, go on their website. Most companies now will have an application or a link online to an application or to a contact page, and you can send them your information. If you've never fished a tournament, you have no track record to speak of, hell, you've got to have something to offer them. So what's your profile? What elevates you above somebody else? Once again, I'm going to go back to your social media. Even if you have a page that you've already started dedicated to fishing just for fun, and you can direct them to that and say, well, see those 500 pictures right there? That's just 2015. That's last year's catch. I'm out there every weekend or 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm catching fish. And I've got X number of friends that are seeing these pictures when I put them up. And you have to offer the company something. You can't expect everything from the company to be given to you and you to give nothing in return. So I could call a company up today and say, look, I know you offer 20% off your rods. And this is just hypothetical. I'm not referring to anyone in particular. I don't personally have an affiliation with a rod company. But I could say, I know you give your staffers 20% off on rods. I'd like to give